a technical loophole that no one is talking about. I haven't seen it. So here, when I was listening, I'm going somewhere so I get in the car. There was discussion where you could see there was negotiation breakdown at some point, and during the oral arguments, for the first time, TikTok's attorney, Noel Francisco, heard the government's attorney, Elizabeth Prolagar, say something that he was like, oh, that's what y'all wanted? Okay, we can do that. At the same time, during oral arguments, Noel Francisco mentioned something that piqued Elizabeth Prolagar's ear and said, whoa, I didn't know that was on the table. We never discussed this. We never talked about this. So I'm going to tell you what that technical thing is in a second. But that tells me that there is a door opener for there could be a technical fix where perhaps, possibly, ByteDance wouldn't even have to divest from TikTok. Here's the technical thing that I'm talking about. Elizabeth Prolagar said that for the first time during the oral arguments, she learned, it wasn't her understanding, that ByteDance had a ability technically to do a what's called walling off, or a firewalling of the data, and that was on the table, and she was understanding that it was impossible because of the constant data flow between the engineers and the algorithm, the data center in China and TikTok, United States, that constant data flow in order for the juice to make it do what it do. There was no way of walling off Americans' data. So it's apparently during the oral arguments, Noel Francisco kind of suggested that that's an option. So that could have been something that TikTok was holding close because they didn't want to give it up. They didn't want to do that because it's probably a pain in the butt and expensive and costly. They were trying to avoid doing that. But he kind of leaked it. Same time, at some point, Elizabeth Prolagar, she's my friend, I'm calling her Elizabeth, the United States government said, the attorney said, mentioned something about non-sensitive data, that they were concerned about non-sensitive data flow, and she didn't like that. So to which Noel Francisco said, what? So y'all are concerned about non-sensitive data? We had that going back and forth because we didn't know that was an issue. Now we know that's an issue. We could have clearly had just banned that off too. Like if that was a concern, we'd have done that. So his whole thing is that y'all left the table too soon. Like there are other restrictions and options that we could have done and explored to avoid this divestiture requirement, but you left the table too soon. So we can go back. And she was like, well, that's the first time I'm hearing. So with these two things, I'm thinking if anyone's careful with the administration, if you're listening to this video, you guys share it with them. You know anybody in administration, with the next administration, or with the government, or TikTok, whatever, you know anybody, TikTok, y'all listening. There was a door opener to go back. And how I think this could work out is if that door opener exists, and with the Trump administration wanting to make it work, and with that door opener, perhaps potentially they can go back and maybe have a quick little sort of like resolution from the Congress to repeal it temporarily for the purposes of repeal the ban temporarily for the purpose of working this out to see if the national security agreement that TikTok has with the United States can add these new like assurances, these new safety firewalls that maybe never were discussed before, and that would save them the need to maybe divest. Who knows? Let's see how it works out. That's just something I thought was a technical fix, possibly. But that's just my theory. I want to put that out there just in case that comes to fruition later on. I could pat myself in the back and y'all could say, yeah, I heard this woman on TikTok, on YouTube, on Threads mention this. Yeah, JJ Gat, she's smart. Go follow her. Follow me here and on YouTube, just in case. You just never know. And Threads and all places, JJ Gat. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, I know what I'm talking about because I did federal regulatory law for several years, including media law. I was part of the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, drafting that legislation, and lobbied the FCC, and was part of the Federal Communications Bar Association, and wrote a Supreme Court brief. So I know what I'm talking about. So I have some credibility in all of this. So I'm not just pulling this out of my air. And I have to say these things because a lot of times when I come on here, people just scroll. People just assume I don't know what I'm talking about. They're just like, So I have to like drop my credentials. So I'm not trying to be like Star Jones with it. Like, I'm a lawyer. You know Star Jones, you guys know her. She's always say, I'm a lawyer. I just feel like I have to drop my credentials so people can like take my theories like seriously. Like, I know what I'm talking about. She been on. You know we've been on. And I'm part of 92%. And 92%, most of us is like checked out. So y'all lucky y'all even have me. Scroll, follow along, save, share. Tell your friend.